on 12:33 ABC Newcastle. Breakfast with Paul Culliver.
This is where the Hunter conversation begins.
We can head on from today. The big space at the Creator Incubator has a brand new exhibition. It's called Paper Chained International, and it has, quite a unique, unifying principle. Damien Linnane is the curator and himself a former incarcerated artist. Damien, hello to you. Good to see you.
Hi, Paul. It's great. Always great to be back on ABC Radio.
Congratulations on this exhibition, which people can see it's from midday today, right?
Yes.
So we are down to the wire for this opening up. Tell me, what is the concept here?
Yeah, so all of the art is made by people who are either currently in prison or they made the art in prison. And it all stems from, I guess, my own experience. You know, when I was in custody, long story short, I wanted to study, but that wasn't available. I wanted rehabilitation, but that also wasn't available. I was assessed as a low risk of reoffending, so I was told I wasn't eligible to do it, even if I wanted to. And so I turned to art and writing as a way to cope and a way to express myself inside. And after I got out with somebody else, I started up a prison magazine, and through that, we get a lot of art from people inside. And eventually, I got so much, somebody pointed out that I should be having an exhibition with the works. So that's where we are now.
Yeah, right. So for you, Damien, what did that ability to create art while you were in jail, what did that mean to you?
It really, being able to create stuff meant everything to me because, there's this perception in the public that prisons are actively preparing people for release, and they're not. They're just warehousing people, and there isn't a lot to do. So the prison didn't give me anything constructive to do. So art was a way that I could accomplish something and feel better about myself, and also, give myself a new skill for release. They didn't have an art teacher, so I actually taught myself to do photorealism with pencil by copying pictures in magazines. And, after I got out, I actually got an illustration contract with Penguin Books. So, it actually took me somewhere. Yeah.
That's extraordinary. Were you an artist before you went in?
No, I mean, when I was a child, people always commented on how well I could draw, but I literally can't remember drawing a thing between starting high school and going to prison. Yeah.
And so what was was it the fact that there was this idea that maybe there was some kind of art therapy but you weren't allowed to access it? What was the inspiration to go, I should do this?
When I was inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was I wrote a novel, and then I finished that, and I didn't know what to do next. And it was actually a guy in my cell block. He said, "You look down." I'm like, "Yeah, I finished my novel last night." And he said, "Isn't that a good thing?" And I said, "Well, it is, but what am I going to do now?" And so he gave me his old sketchbook, and he said, "Oh, why don't you try drawing?" And I don't know if he saw something in me or if he was just trying to give me something to do, but I really just took to that like a duck to water. It was just I was like, I drew my first thing, and I was like, oh, that's right, I used to be good at this, and so I just kept going with it. And so after that, drawing replaced writing, what I did every night for several hours to keep my brain occupied.
So not only did you teach yourself to become an artist, you've learned how to be a curator, because you've got this art exhibition on today, and it's on for the next 10 days, we should say that. And you're touring with this, right? So
this is an annual exhibition. The first time I put it on was in 2024. That was in Sydney. It was opened by the Governor of New South Wales, actually. And then last year I went to Brisbane, and so the goal was to tour it to a different city every year. And then this year, since I live in Newcastle, I'm like, why not play life on easy mode for a bit? And I'll actually have it here. We're in the preliminary stages of touring it to Perth for next year.
That's fantastic. Well, I think that makes a whole lot of sense to have it here, and I'm sure that locals will respond really well to it. How do you put this together? How do you actually decide what goes in?
So basically, most of the art, more than half is received passively. Every day I go to my PO box to check what's in the mail, and yet one day, part of the catalyst for the exhibition was one day I turned up and there were 12 paintings had arrived from California, and it was from someone I'd never heard of. And I actually wrote to him. I said, this is great, but how did you even hear about us? And the magazine's available for free online at paperchained.com, and turns out a friend of his in Arkansas had been printing and posting him every issue as it came out. Wow. And so he'd been reading my magazine for years, but I had no idea. And so it just turned up. And then coincidentally, that same month, I'm also doing a PhD, and I was presenting my PhD material at a conference on prison reform in Kenya, at Nairobi of all places. And I met up with a former prisoner there, and I got some paintings off him. And he said, have you ever... I told him about all the art I received, because I get stuff from the UK, New Zealand. Now we've got stuff from Bolivia, Mexico, Japan, the Philippines. And he said, why haven't you have you ever thought about putting an exhibition together? And I felt a little bit silly because it hadn't occurred to me until then. But yeah, so a man in Nairobi gave me the idea for this.
That's incredible. Damien Linnane is with you. He's the curator behind Paper Chain International. It's on from today through to the 22nd of February at the Creator Incubator. You've got the grand opening on Saturday night. Here's the thing. So you've got all this art from around Australia, around the world. I guess first things first, when you go to an art exhibition, I just like to see something cool that I'm impressed by. That's like, for me, that's art 101. But beyond that, what do you want people to get out of going to see an art exhibition like this?
Yeah, well, we've definitely got some cool stuff. I'll tell you briefly. We've got some these wonderful sculptures, and everyone always comments on how beautiful they are, and then they get really impressed when I tell them they're made out of toilet paper mixed with paint, because they don't let them have paper mache in prison, so the guy had to make them himself. And my most recent acquisition is 3 sculptures welded out of recycled metal at Alice Springs Correctional Centre.
Yeah, wow.
I only just picked those up last week. Occasionally I collect art for the exhibition, but I guess just trying to show people that, people can, really make the most of their time in prison and do something constructive, because, and often they're doing that themselves. Like, the guy who made the paper mache sculptures, for example, the first 3 he made were actually destroyed by correctional officers because he's in Queensland, and in Queensland they're not allowed to make art without prior authorization. So they were destroyed as unauthorized artworks.
Wow.
And so, people are often doing, some prisons do have art teachers, but most don't. And so most of the time people are just taking it upon themselves to try and, better themselves. And I get a lot of mail from people who are telling me that, art's changed their life in prison.
Yeah. Is this also something where you would like to see this like normalized across our jails in Australia? To say this, look at the power of this. Why don't we do this more?
Absolutely. In fact, so Paper Chained is funded by a charity in New South Wales called the Community Restorative Centre, and I've actually been talking with the CEO lately about how we want to try and make the exhibition bigger and incorporate activism into it. For example, going to places like cities that have prisons but might not know much about the prison, to show people in the community, what people in prison are actually doing with their time. And so, I think we can, help really share stories and spread the word a lot about what people are doing. Yeah,
for sure. Damien, congratulations again. Paper Chain International opens today. People can get along to the Creator Incubator, the big space, free entry through to the 22nd of February. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you for having me. It's great. Yeah.
Damien Linnane, the curator behind the new exhibition.